Welcome, folks. It's 11:30, so we'll go ahead and get started. Thanks to the parents who are here in person, and I see we have 8 watching and tuning in with us remotely. We scheduled this round of coffee talks to be focused on sort of what comes second semester for seniors specifically, and doing one of these in each of the art schools. So we have Brenda and Corey who are here prepared to talk about audition season, applications, follow up with college and conservatory acceptances. Brock and I can speak to sort of the academic side of things, as well as commencement considerations. And part of what I'll say just now, there is a commencement portion in your MySA webpage, a link to commencement that then takes you to a host of resources, information like when graduation tickets are available. They become available February 8th, so they're not. Don't panic. Those are coming, and you'll get an official notice about that. You get a certain allocation of tickets, and then if you need more for extended family, you can put in a request, and they are often able to accommodate those extra ticket requests. I'll say this just because it's come up in drama and music. We do not require graduates here to wear cap and gown. Students may purchase it, and there's a link on that same web page to a company from whom you can purchase a traditional cap and gown for graduation. I would say it's absolutely fine for students to do that, and we have a certain number every year who do. Definitely more do not than who do, and then we have some who will buy just the mortarboard, some who will get the gown and sort of tailor it differently. And then
It is an art school after all.
It's an art school.
It's really cool, and I think it's been mentioned also both the previous talks. Great footwear across the board. So it's one of the standout pieces. So
don't think that your child's the odd one out if
That's
they're
right.
saying they don't want to wear a cap and gown.
when they start tailoring their own duck costume,
Yeah, or a cap and gown with a tulle skirt,
exactly.
also very acceptable.
Although one year we did have a high school student who decided to moon the audience as they walked across,
Wow.
and they were arrested
Ooh.
right after the ceremony.
Nice.
So perhaps say
Consequences.
to your child,
Do not move.
I've only been to 2 of these so far, but in all of the acts of individual expression, everything that I've seen has been completely appropriate and wonderful to date. So this is not the individual expression side of it is not something that seems to be typically used.
no,
And
that was a rare instance.
Okay.
I thought I'd mention that just to
Phew, get that out of the
get that out
way.
of the way.
So the only other thing I'll say about commencement, just for your planning purposes, if you're coming from out of town and starting to think about, hotel reservations, we have a reception for parents Friday afternoon. That's Friday afternoon, May 17th, the day before commencement. It's an optional reception, but we love for everyone to come who's able. So that would be something to plan for if you're able to get here a little bit early. And then commencement itself is 10 a.m. Saturday morning, May 18th. Runs about 2 hours. And then we spill out onto 4th Street where the campus police have cordoned off the area. 4th Street is our reception area for about a half an hour to an hour after. It's really a wonderful ceremony. So with that, the people who are bringing this to you, you all know Mitzi McNeil, without whom this wouldn't be happening. I would say the same about Corey McLean from dance. Brenda Daniels, our Associate Dean of Dance and the head of the high school program. Brock Snyder, Associate Dean of Academics, and working with about 50% of college seniors and most of the dance seniors on our side of college and conservatory applications. And then Jennifer Snow White, PSO president, who's responsible for the coffee and cake and the clementine. So
Sorry you
those of
can't have
here,
them.
please help yourself.
Yeah, just-
Thank you all. We'll open it up to questions. If you're streaming in on YouTube, there's a chat function. If you have a Gmail account, you can type your question in there, or you can send the question to Mitzi, mcneilm@uncsa.edu, mcneillm@uncsa.edu. So we'll take questions. Thank you. If your senior student is assigned to the rep group, are there performances in the winter and or spring, like the DeMille performance in December? And if so, do you have these dates for calendaring purposes?
I do. And the rep groups will shift around between winter and spring. So there's a winter rep period with a performance and then a different spring one. The winter rep performance will be on Wednesday, February 27th. I want to say 2:30 and 4:30 or 2 and 4, that is TBA, but there's 2 performances in the afternoon. And the winter one on February 27th is in DeMille. Spring. And again, things shift. There's different casting. So a student who might be in the winter rep, maybe in spring dance, vice versa. Somebody who's in winter dance may be in a rep group for the spring. A little bit earlier than it usually is this year, just because of where Easter falls. So spring dance is also earlier, and the spring repertory performance is earlier. And it will be on Wednesday, April 17th. And this year, the spring rep performance will be downtown at the Stevens Center. Same thing, there'll be 2 in the afternoon, 2 and 4, or 2:30 and 4:30 TBA, depending on how long the show is. So we'll get that information out as it becomes clearer.
Do you know when the spring performances will be?
I'm thinking that they are on 26th and 27th, but of April, but I wanted that because of the this year with the performance place going offline for renovation and other schools having a lot of use of DeMille, School of Drama, School of Music. There's been just a lot of change in where our performances are throughout the year. Dates have changed, venues have changed. So I didn't bring my performance calendar with me. I only brought the school calendar. So I just want to double check those spree dates before I say for sure. They fall right at the end of the semester. And again, they're not going to be in the performance place like they usually are because that's closed. So I'm thinking they're in DeMille. My best guess, without having it right in front of me, is that last weekend, 26th, 27th.
I'm sorry, and I may be confused, but winter dance, is that considered part of what you were saying initially, the winter performance? Is that one and the same, or it's 2 separate?
It's 2 separate things.
Okay.
So we have the winter dance concert,
Yeah.
which is the main stage performance in the Stevens Center. That is also in February the 21st through the 24th. And then the winter repertory performance is that following week on the Wednesday on the 27th.
Any times on the 21st or 24th, or just to be at TBA as well?
Those are 7:30 p.m. for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and a 2 p.m. matinee on the Sunday.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
got a question about the initial number of tickets that is sort of, that you have the right to request or that you get, and that number is 8. So there's a electronic order form that you or your student fills out. You can request up to 8 in that initial round, and then if you need more than 8, you can make an additional request, as they figure out how many tickets are becoming available.
So commencement is at Stevens again?
Yes.
I just want to say for parents who have students who are going to be going out and doing auditions throughout the spring, just as soon as they have a plan for when that audition is taking place, to get that permission form, the professional exemption form signed by the faculty and rehearsal director that they're working with, as soon as possible, get that in, because I know it's been difficult if they have an audition, say this coming weekend, they've only been back at school a week, but we do ask that they try to get those in at least 2 weeks in advance.
Yeah, and I'll say from our end, we have apologize for the long attendance policy, but part of its length is trying to account for the special nature of our program. And so, as I hope you're aware, second semester seniors actually have 12 available excused absences instead of the normal 8 for all their other semesters, specifically to accommodate, the range of auditions and callbacks that our kids have to participate in to go to the next level. So there's that 12 threshold, and then we ask that only 6 of those be allocated for auditions and college and conservatory visits. We're trying to leave some room for, flu in February and things of that nature. But as with most things, with some pre-planning, advance notice, if your child needs to have a 7th or an 8th day because of the range of auditions that they got, and congratulations to them. That's what we, of course, we'll absolutely work with you. We're not gonna, that's not a line we're gonna hold. It's just a number that we put out there because we do want them to be able to get sick. And then of course, and then of course, if because of the number of auditions and we have a bad bout of flu in February and we have some kids over that 12 threshold, those are the kinds of appeal. That's why an appeals process exists, to not impose the academic penalty, because real life and auditions happened. And so our system is set up to take all of that into consideration, trying to keep them healthy and stable and all that. So that's why those numbers are in there, and just know when they're doing the right thing, they're just numbers, and we can make it work. Just communicate with us.
Is 12 the same number for the dance department as well?
We have 6 days that are the allotment, but they can go beyond that if they need to.
I just know from my daughter's schedule, and she and I are trying to kind of put it all together, that like one is on like a Monday, which means we have to travel on Sunday, be there on Monday, and there's no way to get back on Tuesday. So it's going to be a little bit of a stretch to only use one day for one.
It's totally fine. I mean,
thing.
I'll just, not to throw drama under the bus, it's the nature of their auditions.
Right.
It doesn't come close to some of the requests we're getting with, you've got like you got to go to 2 unified auditions for drama. And each of those spans multiple days because they're doing auditions for, 5 different places at one, and then 5 more places at another. So what you just described
Not
is
unusual.
totally fine, not
Okay,
unusual.
well, it's a little stressful from my perspective because I haven't been this way before,
Yeah.
so it's a lot. to
And if you read the attendance policy, it's saying, please don't have 2 days or a maximum of 2 days in a row. And just know that if you communicate, it's fine.
We ask to shoot for not more than 2 consecutive academic days. But again, we have some kids who'll be gone for a week or more than a week, and we'll make it work. And it's, yeah. That
Breathe
shouldn't
easy.
be the stressor, right? If this is what we're here to support. And so if that's what the kid is doing and that's the reason for the absences, we're set up to support that. We got a follow-up question about when do the forms for academics need to be in for professional exemptions. We ask for a week notice. It's that purple form. And we ask for that because the student is supposed to take that form around to each of their teachers and have a conversation about what they're going to be missing and what the makeup work process might look like. So we ask for a week. Dance is 2 weeks.
We like 2 weeks. It's rare that a student will get it to us in a timely fashion, but we're continuing to press for a really timely communication so that the rehearsal, especially the rehearsal director, they can plan if they know that a student is going to be gone for several days and not just find out the night before and have their whole rehearsal plan.
Yeah, and that
under the
really,
bus.
and that's more critical. I can run a makeup test in my class for a student that I found out about. A little harder to do that for a group rehearsal.
Right, and if it turns out that the student didn't realize that they were going to be gone for the performances, that they have that audition, they can't change it, then that would take them out of the performance. So it's just important. As soon as they know, they have those dates locked in, just to get that form going.
In our session with music, Brian brought up that it doesn't usually occur to kids that they can also call the school where they're auditioning and get them to change it, that they value that the kid is performing. And is that true in dance as well?
Not always.
Not always.
I mean,
But-
they can
Okay.
try, like us, like when we're auditioning students for our college program, very flexible. They can come to a regularly scheduled audition. They can just come any day we have a class. They could use one of our regular classes to take the audition. They can do video auditions. But not every program is like that. Some programs you can only go to their scheduled auditions. You can always try. It doesn't hurt to call up and say, we've had a few students do that and say,
And especially for performance.
I'm already going to be in California doing one audition at this other school. Can I just come and take a class rather than wait a whole nother week or fly back the week later? And so a lot of schools will accommodate, but some won't. So you just have to try.
And that was Brian's point. Just don't take it for granted. You should ask. Don't ask about because you got a conflict with the AP Human Geography test. I would reserve it for performances and dress rehearsals, but it's worth asking the question.
It's probably worth asking not only the admissions office of the school, but also the dance program. Like try to get whoever the Corey McLean of that program is working with the faculty scheduling and all that kind of stuff into the loop of conversation, because the admissions office might not know if they're able to make that accommodation.
So Brenda, when they're making that call, who are they asking? They can't ask for the Corey McLean, I'm thinking. So, what
I'd say-
position? Your scheduler?
The school, the
audition.
School of Dance main secretary or contact.
Yeah. All you folks who came, did you bring questions? Or you just to listen?
Just came to listen because we're done. Maria successfully
Yay.
jumped through all the hoops.
Oh, nice. So
Well,
you know where
there's
she's
one more
headed?
hoop.
Yeah, well, so let's talk about what's next, because we are kind of on that, college application season. We are now in the audition phase and the acceptance phase. Okay, so as you know where your students have been accepted and the scholarship offers, feel free at any time to email me and let me know that. Now, we do have a plan to collect that information from students and parents. Every senior will have a senior exit interview with myself or Ms. Pallone. In the case of dancers, most of them will have that with me. And that's our kind of our last stop in getting that information. And we'll start those meetings into March. Okay. Now, in February, March, and April, students and families will get an email blast asking for that information at that time. Please let us know what you know at that point. You'll get another one in March. Let us know what you know at that point. And then you'll get another one in April. Let us know if there's been any changes, what you get at that point. And then there's the final transcript, right? That's the funnest request that students have. They come in and they want to request where their final transcript is going. Well, to do that, they have to have this exit interview. Okay, so we want that information is so important to us for many reasons. You know, you can imagine recruitment. You know, one of the first questions I get from families is, you know, where do the dancers go to college? Okay, so we like to have that information. It's helpful for our students that come future senior classes because it's oftentimes a good jumping off place for them as they do their college searches. So we want that information to value it, and we'll be getting that throughout the semester.
I have probably an ignorant question, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
No such thing.
So my daughter, not only are we auditioning for companies, but we're applying for colleges, which is, I'm surprised I have any hair left. That's all. But when she has been accepted to some colleges, we haven't responded yet because we're hoping that we're going to be dancing. That's going to be our life. But what is the process? I haven't done this before. I don't know how to direct her. Does she respond? Do we wait? What
Yeah, well, for our students, unless they're getting an offer from the school of their first choice and they know, they're most oftentimes putting these acceptances decisions out to the last minute for the reason you're describing. You know, they may be getting an offer from another school. They may want to wait to get another offer from a school they're equally as interested in to see what type of money they're getting from that
Right.
school. Okay. You will be asked to as soon as you accept acceptances, soon to follow is the tuition bill, right?
Right.
So deposit, right? So if you can push it out as long as you can, and they'll publish those dates by which you need to let them know.
So maybe just put that on the calendar, like to, okay.
I mean, usually it's around May 1st where schools request that if you're interested, that you pay some sort of deposit. And it's usually around 500.
So it
something like that.
synchronizes with colleges.
It kind of synchronizes. And I can speak from the experience of also doing our college recruitment here, is that students who want to come here, if they know this is their first choice for college, they go ahead and pay that deposit. But we have other students who are not sure for sometimes the reason you described. Well, they're looking at companies, apprenticeships, this and that. In order to secure a place here, they go ahead and put the deposit in, but then they let me know or let the admissions know over the summer, oh, I got an offer from Atlanta Ballet, whatever. And they can get their deposit back by a certain point. After a certain point, they can't, but sometimes they just let the deposit go because they want to do the professional dancing. So there is some like wiggle room in there, but at a certain point, you're going to lose the deposit.
Right.
But people do tend to hedge their bets. They put in the deposit just so they have that place to back up if other stuff doesn't work out.
Does UMCSA ever allow deferrals?
We don't do deferrals. They would have to apply again. But other schools do deferrals. We just don't.
I have a question on when submitting the application, is deposit done at that time? Because I know my daughter has already placed her application, but I'm not sure about the deposit part.
When you do the application, there's an application fee.
Okay. So that's a deposit.
That is not the deposit.
Okay.
The deposit for enrollment is more significant. I think is it 250 or 500? It's a bigger chunk.
Okay.
So then what was it 150
For here,
for year college?
100.
150. That's just the application fee that just goes to the admissions office. So, yeah. And whether you're accepted or rejected, you still pay that fee. So the deposit to enroll would come later upon acceptance, and that would be due. I think our deadline is May 1st.
And that's, I don't know of any school where May 1st is not the
Yeah,
deadline.
that seems,
for-
that
for
is a
that deposit.
universal
Standard.
standard deadline.
Unless it's early.
Unless it's
Unless it's
early
early
decision.
decision, that's correct, that would be
Thank
the,
you.
and sometimes you may, if you were awarded a scholarship, sometimes you're going to be pressured to make that commitment earlier because they want to, if you're not coming, they want to award that money to someone else. So that would be an instance that they would be
Might they
awarding early.
require you to respond earlier?
Requirement or if it's
Yeah,
an encouragement, yeah. I
okay.
don't know.
But like us, again, because I do our college recruitment, the programs want to know who's coming as early as possible so they can kind of lock in a class. And then if they're not going to meet their numbers, they can take people off the waiting list, that kind of thing. So I think it's good if you know that first choice to go ahead and, commit. But if not, the schools know that a considerable number of students are kind of waiting and weighing and for their final financial offers from all the different schools. And I want to say a word about that too, because I deal with all of our scholarshiping here for our college students. Is that those things can vary so much from school to school, and that also is not set in stone with the first offer that's made. That there is negotiating that can happen usually throughout the spring and summer. I get calls from people, the initial offer is not quite enough. Is there anything you can do? And as I hear back from people, yes, I'm coming, no, I'm not coming, the offers that I've made to somebody who's not coming, I can turn that money around and give a little more to somebody that really wants to come. So don't be shy about calling
Asking
a
if there's a need.
contact. Yeah, if there's a need, I need just 3,000 more, I could come.
Right.
Because people would definitely respond to that. A financial aid office would take that under consideration. And I want to say that every year I get a student or parent saying to me, my child has gotten a $15,000 scholarship to Boston Conservatory. Can you match that? And at that point, I will have to say, well, considering Boston Conservatory costs $70,000 a year, even with that 15 and my offer of 0, it would still cost a lot less to come here, and the training would be better here. So you really do have to look at the bottom line of deduct that scholarship and financial aid offer and see what's left.
And then compare
And then
that.
compare it with maybe the state school that doesn't have quite as generous a scholarship offer, but their total tuition, fees, room and board are a lot less. So you never know. You just got to really look at that bottom line.
I didn't realize this until the last 2 weeks, but if my daughter that's in the dance department did come to UNCSA for college, it's a shorter period of,
It can be a
It
shorter
can be.
period.
okay, so explain
Yeah.
that to me, because I don't know how I lost that somewhere in the last 4 years, but I didn't find.
Right. So our high school students who decide to come back to UNCSA for college, if they complete all of their college academic courses in 3 years, they can graduate college in 3 years. We do require them to be here for 3 years of college, though. So even if somehow they were to finish all their academics in 2 years, they would still have to stay for 3 in order to get the Bachelor of Fine Arts. But waive is kind of the wrong word, but we can use a year of their high school dance courses to substitute in for a year of college arts credits.
I think that's pretty powerful enough. I just wasn't aware of that.
It's important.
Many students do that. It is not hard for them to kind of compress their academics into 3 years. It's very doable, and a lot of students take advantage of that, the ones that come back here.
I think you discouraged me from considering that for the contemporary dance program because I think you said that you want them to go somewhere else.
Again, it depends on how long they've been here. A
Right.
student who's been here for 4 or 3 years of high school, we think that it is not a good idea to come back.
Because if Maria were to do that, she'd have to repeat level 4.
She would have to repeat. There would be seven years in the same institution. So really, it makes the most sense that coming back here to college for students who have just come here for their senior year of high school, maybe their junior and senior year, 3 years, 4 years of high school here, it's probably a better idea for them to have gotten what they've gotten from this program and then go on to another great program, because then they have the benefit of 2 different sets of faculty and experiences. So it really depends on how long they've been here, our advice to the student. That being said, we do have students who do their entire high school here and come back and do their entire college here. It can work. Sometimes it's for financial reasons. They're from North Carolina. It really works with their family's budget the best. But often by the time they get to their 6th or 7th year here, they're just like, yeah. It's tough. Over familiar. So
We've got a couple of email questions. I'll answer one that I can answer because it's quick. When are high school students required to be out of residence halls, around commencement? And that, it is on the website, but that's 4 p.m. on Saturday, May 18th. So commencement runs on Saturday, May 18th from 10 until about noon. And then they have until 4 p.m. that afternoon to have all their stuff moved out of the residence hall. This one's for you.
okay, I'm going to read the question. If a student is waitlisted for a program after an audition, how long in general do schools take to notify the student if they've been accepted? It really depends. It could be before May 1st. It could be the day after May 1st. It happens a lot around that time because the bulk of students do decide on that May 1st deadline. So a lot of shifting kind of happens around there. But it's not unusual for a student to be let know in August that they've been taken off a waiting list. And by that time, they may have committed to another school. So we've had a student, I'm not going to mention any names, but they applied to Juilliard and USC. They really wanted to go to USC, but Juilliard was an attractive option. They got put on a wait list for Juilliard. By that time, they'd already committed to USC, and they eventually did decide to go. But they weren't let know about Juilliard until, I think, August. It was right before school started. And if a student just, that was it, they just dreamed of going to Juilliard, they would just give up their deposit at the other school they committed to. So it does last a long time, and it just depends on your tolerance for a big change at the last minute.
Can you speak to the company audition process and what we can expect for that, and if any companies will be coming to campus this spring?
We have a couple of people coming to campus, in addition to all of the summer programs that come, and sometimes the student will be tapped at those summer auditions if the person coming also is in charge of their second company or apprenticeship program, stuff like that. So we do encourage the students to do as many of those weekend and outside auditions as they can manage with their schedule. But We have Sasha Radetsky, who directs the ABT studio company. He's going to be coming for a visit. And we're in negotiations right now with Adam Skloot, who runs Valley West. He may be coming for a visit to look at students. So right now, those two, and Susan's working on getting other people in. We'll let you know.
Do you know which summer audition programs are coming here?
There is a very long list that's posted for the students right next to the schedule board. Corey's in charge of keeping that updated, but there's many ballet summer programs, a handful of contemporary. So it's good. They don't have to go away to do lots of auditions. They can do them right here.
Or anyone that helps them with the audition videos, if that's something that they need?
They can go to their teacher of record to request help if they need it. A lot of students just kind of do it on their own, but if they should need help, they can come to their teacher.
Got a question about AP exams and how they integrate or don't with our UNCSA exam schedule. If a student sits for the AP exam, they do not take an exam in their UNCSA class. That exam serves as that course exam. And we encourage all students to sit for the AP exams because we pay for them now. So there's no cost to the family anymore for the AP exams, and it is the culminating assessment for those courses, and it's a pretty nice independent measure for the student and the teacher of that experience, and we think it's a worthwhile process. So, I mean, students have reasons for not taking AP exams, but given that we're footing the bill now for the second year in a row, we hope that all will, or as many who can will.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a big commitment by the school, and one that we felt like was important because some districts do provide that funding, and we had not until last year.
Will all of the AP exams wrap up before graduation? I seem to recall, wasn't there something with AP Stats last year
That's
in graduation?
Yes, and it was really the whole AP exam schedule. College Board always schedules them for the first 2 full weeks of May. And just because of the way the calendar worked last year and this year, we got an unusually late start to the first exam. It was like May 6th as opposed to May 1st. So these 2 years, we've had to move graduation for high school back a week. Normally, we follow the college commencement just the very next week, but we're 2 weeks apart now to accommodate the AP range. So yes, that's why we're having graduation on the 18th, and all of the exams will be taken. This year, I think we have. The last 2 years, we have had to bring students back from rehearsal at the Stevens Center for that final afternoon exam. I don't think that's the
We
case
don't have
this
that
year.
conflict this year, so that takes some heat off. That was tough.
Yes.
But even in that case, we provided lunch for them on the bus. We had a special van to take them back, and we make it as livable as possible. And the PSO since last year has been paying for snacks, AP break snacks, which that's about $900 a year actually for the range of AP exams.
It's important.
Not
Snacks are
insignificant.
important.
Absolutely, for a 3-hour exam experience. So, thank you.
Our pleasure.
Good, thank you. Yeah, student just takes one exam for their course. If you do choose not to sit for the AP exam, you will have to take a final exam or final project experience for your UNCSA course. But if you sit for the AP exam, that is your culminating.
Are scores automatically reported if you take the actual AP exam?
That's a choice you make.
It's a choice, right? So I'm wondering what stops a teacher from basically doing a facsimile of an AP exam?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I mean, most of ours don't do that, but
Yeah. But I'm
Okay.
thinking just get your kids to take the AP exam.
What else?
I had a question. Maria's been talking about coming to work here during the summer. Do you know anything about that?
I don't. I am not in charge of anything to do with summer school. We have a certain number of students every year who work in the dorms, overseeing those younger kids. Do you know?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if it's
Melanie.
residence
Melanie
life.
Texador
Melanie.
or Rachel in residence life, high school life. But we do have, and I see seniors that have graduated, I see them on campus following that summer, and they're working maintenance crew for residence life or working as an RA for the summer residents and summer programs.
Maria knows about it, so I'll let her fly.
we have another email question regarding financial aid. If a student is not applying for financial aid, is that considered an advance in the audition process?
I don't think so, because I can only speak to my experience here at the school. I don't know how other institutions work as far as that's concerned, but audition students, I don't know if they've applied for financial aid or not. I have no idea, and I am in charge of merit scholarship only. Some of our merit scholarship is need-based, so after the auditions happen and allocating merit scholarship, most of which has nothing to do with need, it's just based on talent only. Some have to go to ballet majors, some scholarships have to go to contemporary, male, female. There's lots of different categories of students that different monies go to. Some of the merit scholarships are tied up with need, and then I have to go to the financial aid office and see who has submitted their FAFSA form that kind of numerically ranks need with students. So that money can only go to families who have submitted that financial aid paperwork. That's how it works at our school. So the audition process really is totally separate from knowing anything about a financial situation. But other schools, it may be different. I can't really speak to that. I imagine that other schools are like us, though. I think that it's probably totally kind of blind auditions where you're just looking at the merits of that student.
What is the UNCSA college audition process for current UNCSA high school seniors?
Okay, we don't require that they audition again because they're already here. So our process is, I find out either through the student tells me, the parent tells me. Every once in a while, I'll look down the admissions list of applicants. It's really long, so I don't do that every day. So, but eventually I do find out that a current student wants to apply here to college. At that point, I bring their name to the appropriate faculty, ballet students, the ballet faculty, contemporary, and the faculty vote on acceptance. They know the students, they say yes, no wait list. Then that information goes on to the admissions office. Students still have to do the online application, the application fee. We don't require that they submit photos or an artistic letter of recommendation, although they still have to do the artistic statement, like the essay. So they have certain requirements that they still have to do, but the audition, the photos, the letter of rec, we waive that because we know them. And they don't have to physically do another audition.
We're coming into senioritis time, and I think that they're busy enough that it shouldn't be too much of a problem, but have you noticed senioritis as a problem for the high school students?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's a common universal thing. But our students are busy, so they don't have the time. You know,
Second time for that.
I think, in my response to if we, a teacher says, Rob, this student's got some senioritis going on, is to say, hey, we do send a final transcript, right? Finish strong, right? Finish strong. Definitely, we always send a mid-year transcript. Okay. So encourage your students, if they're gonna get senioritis, put it off as long as they can.
May 20th.
Put it off.
And just so you know, so there's a formal point between the start of this semester and progress reports, which will be published around March 1st, just before spring break. There's a midpoint between now and March 1st that I will email faculty and say, please reach out to parents and guardians of any student in your class who has a C- or below, and CC Brock on those emails. So that happens. And then we have the formal progress report time at the end of February. They're required to submit them through our system on February 27th. Brock and I go through all of those, and collect the list again. And then at that point, we'll have formal follow-up with students who may be succumbing to that malady. And then there's another point between the progress report publishing in early March and graduation. There's another midpoint in that segment when I will make the same call to faculty again. Email parents and guardians if you have a student with a C- or below. So we formally track this through the semester. Our mantra from before I got here was, no surprises. And there certainly shouldn't be a surprise around something like this. And I would just say, anytime you have a question about how your students do it, it's we all have different grading systems, and it's a teacher's choice whether or not to post grades in Canvas. So if you have a question about the standing of your student, email the teacher or one of us. Teacher should be able to give you that information pretty quickly. Oh, so a follow-up to the UNCSA high school to college application process. So when typically would a student hear, like once it comes to you that a high school student is applying for college?
I really can't answer that because we have a new admissions liaison. Our wonderful Clyde Howell retired, and we have a new wonderful Rob Myers, who's our dance liaison in the admissions office. I just have not worked with him long enough to know his timeline on letting people know. In the past, it's been rolling. So, as soon as everything is complete and the student's been ready for acceptance by us, it goes to an admissions committee that then looks at the transcripts, the test scores. So it's not automatic. Again, it's just not an automatic because the school of dance says yes. It has to be looked at by a committee in the admissions office. But because I don't know Rob's process yet, I don't want to say for sure when he's going to let people know.
Would it be true to say that it's still rolling?
I don't even know that.
That's fair.
So we can get with Rob and kind of suss out what he's thinking and doing.
I had that question come up to me from a student last week. I did call admissions and got somewhat of an unsure answer, but felt like after March 1st, that if everything was in application wise, then those notices would start to trickle out. Okay,
here's a combined one, or a couple. Some auditions request to bring recommendation letters. An art recommendation letter was submitted with the Common App, but we don't get a copy since it's submitted directly. So do we need to get additional recommendation letters from dance teachers? And then as a follow-up, what is a suggestion as to how many recommendation letters a student have available, art and academic? I'll say on the academic side, that depends on the requirement of the school. So, and that requirement is anywhere from none to 2. And it's not a bad thing to submit additional ones. But I think particularly if a school is saying they don't want any, they're probably not going to look at
Yeah, you'll
more
see
than-
ranges, you know,
or more than one.
when we look at it, it'll say minimum of 1, maximum of 2, or minimum of 2, maximum of 3. And good advice, if they ask for 3 max, don't send them 4. Okay, because they're gonna get,
You're bombarding. me.
I
said
Yeah,
3, you
don't-
sent me
don't
4.
bombard.
you know, and they probably won't read that 4th.
But for the, and I know that there are a couple of schools that I don't understand why, but the student submits the artistic letter of recommendation through a portal, but then the school also asks that they bring a hard copy with them to the audition. I don't know why, but personally. So the student would just go to the teacher that had submitted the letter in the first place to the portal and ask for a hard copy. And what I usually do is put the letter inside a sealed envelope with my signature on the back of the envelope, because really students should not be reading the letter. It's just inappropriate. So that's what the student should do, is go to that faculty.
One more question. And do you have any sources of scholarship out, independent scholarships that you know of, or do you have a list of those that Maria could apply for
For other schools?
for other schools? Just, it would be an independent scholarship source. I know that they exist. I
Yeah,
just wonder if
we
you know.
do it, and a couple times during each semester, those go out, to seniors from Ms. Pallone. And she'll be doing that again for some of the scholarships that still have deadline dates remaining in spring. And I can tell you, a couple of those independent scholarships, and I'm not real familiar with their deadline dates right now, but Coca-Cola Scholars. Every year we have students receive money from Coca-Cola Scholars. The Elks Club, Most Valuable Student, I think that's what that's called. You don't have to be an Elks Club member, but they're giving away money to students. I always encourage students to go back into their hometowns. In Winston-Salem, we have what's called the Winston-Salem Foundation, which is a scholarship hosting organization for a variety of businesses and organizations giving money to students. Eligible for students in the Winston-Salem Forsyth County area, even if they're in school and in high school in another place. So if there may be a similar program in home communities that even if a student is here, they're eligible for these scholarships. And I would encourage students to look
So
into
if we live
those.
in Greensboro, that would not.
That's
apply.
right. But if you're in the western part of the state, it's the Western Carolina Community Foundation. That is similar to what's called the Winston-Salem Foundation. They provide money to students in counties, Wilkes, Allegheny, those, Wichita, yes, thank you.
Western Carolina Community.
Foundation.
I imagine there's some kind of reference material or online.
There
source
is,
of-
we have a handbook in our offices, getting scholarships, and it's a huge book with organizations that you really,
And they
everything.
range from $500
That's
to
right.
$50,000.
Yeah,
And
that's correct. And you kind of have to sift through that to find those matches, what they're offering. Do I meet those
So we have a scholarship here for children of employees of the Royal Cake Company.
Royal
Royal
cake.
cake,
Yeah, Royal Cake Company.
tasty cakes.
I don't know.
And those are the kind of things you're
Yeah.
gonna get to your community organizations, you know, that are offering money for
Yeah,
students.
money's
in their-
money.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know, because we haven't filled any of these out yet, but how well it's going to work. But I've stumbled on a website called FastWeb,
Web.com.
fastweb.com. So is that a real thing?
Yes, it
Oh,
is a
they
real
send
And
thing.
you'll
stuff to
fill
me.
out, right, you'll fill out sort of, or your kid preferably is going to fill out sort of their profile, special talents, this and that. And they will send you a daily email of, have you looked at these scholarships yet?
And you really,
But
with
just that
that,
there's money out there.
gotta, because they're gonna send you,
They bombard you.
if you can have the patience to outlast their ongoing onslaught of emails with scholarships that have nothing to do with you,
Yeah.
then you may find a jewel in there somewhere.
So another parent, as a follow-up on that, presented to me that, is there a possibility that getting, these little trickle scholarships could affect a merit scholarship or a need-based scholarship? Like,
It's more like, it's
You're
more
getting an
likely to
offer from a
affect a
school.
need-based,
Yeah, need-based.
because they have a very complex rubric that they use. So I would check in with the financial aid officer.
When we talked to her at school, where she's going, they said, get as many as you can, because money's money. And it's less money that you have to pay if you don't have a full scholarship and you have some bit that you have to put in, it will take that away.
just so long
There's-
as they're not going to reduce
There's,
them.
there's other, Pell Grant, there's something where if they get independent money, it takes down something else that they get. So it really depends. So just
You
make
gotta
sure you
check
check
with
it
it.
out.
And please call the financial aid offices at the schools that you are applying to, and especially if you've been accepted to. They will talk to you and help you piece together as best they can gaps. But please call them.
Question, when do spring dance tickets go on sale?
They're on sale now, so you can call the box office. Yep. I already have my spring dance tickets. I know they're available.
How many seniors in the dance program?
Do you know off the top of your head?
Well, we have a
Total number.
I think it's,
130 total
Yes.
seniors, and it's
I think
probably
it's,
about a
there's,
third of the class.
I think it's 45. There's an unusual amount of seniors this year,
So about
more than usual.
But it must be mostly ballet students.
Mhm.
Because
Mostly, but there's a healthy handful of contemporary. I mean, we have some brand new students this year who are seniors, so.
oh, okay.
Well, we don't need to stay until 1. We don't need to sit silence, but I don't.
So, one last question.
Yeah, of course.
Diplomas are mailed, what do, how do we get them?
Yeah, so.
Are they mailed?
They,
Do they get them in the board?
they get them in the board. They'll get a board, and as long as your fees have been paid, you'll.
It's in
Yeah,
there.
that's at graduation, that's right.
Is that
Yes.
right?
You know, I don't, never opened up when handing those out to Carol. I've always wondered what's in there, but I have never opened one up.
And if you're
Stuffing
opening
is-
particular students, then they're going to get them seriously
Yeah.
worried.
That's
My,
a question. we should-
I'm pretty sure they're in there. I'm pretty sure they're in there, because they do have to, if we have there's some situations that we do have to order them, and it's like if a student didn't complete the graduation application, which we have 100%
In.
in now. I know there's been that question.
And I thought you said that if they didn't pay their fees, they don't walk.
That's correct. You'll get it.
They-
You'll be given notice if there's holds on the account. That would be the one thing that would prevent that diploma in that book. I'm gonna go run to the registrar's office.
Well, I'm emailing her now.
Yeah, there's always that one question.
Now, is there a graduation package like for cap and gowns or senior pictures or anything like that?
They're on the website, the graduation link. There is a link to order caps and gowns if you would like to do that, and to order class rings if you would like to do that. They are not, the caps and gowns are not UNCSA specific. Okay, so, and as we talked about a little bit earlier, there'll be some students that wear a cap and gown or a cap, a gown, or both, or.
And some of them decorate their
Some
cap, like they have
decorate, so not-
written on it.
And attire
No profanity,
usually
please.
needs to be, is like, concert attire, or we've heard it described as Sunday's best, just whatever, but it's creative too. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like, whoa,
Costumes.
it's like a fashion
Yeah.
show
Yeah.
sometimes.
More costuming.
Yeah.
But it's always appropriate. And I've been real pleased that it is appropriate, for the most part.
She probably wouldn't want a cap and gown then. That's mom wanting that, but I'll let her
And,
decide what
and
she
that's a
wants to
good
do.
thing to realize,
Yeah.
is that they have a different attitude toward all that than
But if the
right.
student really wants to stand out in graduation in terms of their attire, they wear a cap and gown.
They will stand out.
because they'll be the only one. And that's
it could
okay.
be- And if that's because that's tradition, that's great. That's fine.
I'll let her decide.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to thank you.
Yes.
Maria's received a really spectacular dance education.
Oh my
We were
God.
struggling as to where for her to go to fill that gap in her life, and this was the perfect place.
Great.
So I just
That's nice to hear.
thank you for that. And it's continuing. I mean, this semester is going to be pretty amazing. So
I would agree very much so, yeah. My
she's,
daughter has, I can't even put words to it, to be honest. When she came home for Christmas break and I saw, when I came for her performance, how she has grown in just a matter of months. Unimaginable, yeah.
Thank you.
That's nice to hear.
Yeah.
I think we have a question about double majors. My daughter wants to major in dance and another subject, but does not know what the other subject will be. Any suggestions for other majors that go well with a dance major?
History.
Says the
Could
professor
be,
of history.
could be. I just returned from a visit not long ago to the University of Utah, and students are allowed to double major there in dance and something else. And they had a whole panel of students sitting across the stage saying, and the majority of their dance students are double majors. And it was just really interesting to hear some of the things that they were studying. A lot of them were doing physical therapy, the scientific body anatomy kind of double majors, but not across the board. There were some people that had English or history, or at this particular school, they said psychology. The schedule works really well with the dance schedule, but that's at that one particular school. But there was anything you could think of. There was maybe 20 students and a big representation of different subjects and dance that school can make work. I don't know how they make it work, but they make it work. It's a very big school, 30,000 students. So there's lots of different kinds of classes and options. Most of our students that go on to a school where they can double major in dance in another subject, I would say they probably focus on the more medical aspect, as it's a strong interest. They have interest in becoming maybe a dance therapist someday, or an athletic trainer or a doctor, but that's not 100%, because our students are interested in a lot of different things. So again, it depends on the school and the student, what is their interest? Writing, dance criticism. They might want to double major with strong English so they can get those verbal and written skills. So it depends. And the school may have limitations as to what that double major can be just because of scheduling. It's good to research that before you get there.
One of the things we're putting in place here at the college level, both in a relationship with Wake Forest, but also in new minors that we're offering for the first time, is an arts business degree to go along with the BFA, because so many of our artists ultimately find themselves maybe running their own studio or, connecting with business in some way, that leverages their arts training. And that's seemed to be a real need for our current students and alums.
A lot of programs, double majors, they tell you right up front it's difficult. You're going to have to do some courses over the summer or some online courses, just because a dance schedule can be very demanding and then a whole nother major on top of that. So to think about maybe a minor, if there's a strong interest in another area, might be more realistic if the desire is to keep that dance training at a very high level. Because I imagine that doing a double major would be quite time consuming.
I know one of the colleges that my daughter applied to, she was accepted at, they do have that, but they have a program worked out with a college that's about 3 miles away. So engineering, dance, and it's a 5-year program.
Right, that extra year. So
We have, do you have a feel for how many of the seniors are planning to continue dancing after they graduate?
I hope all of them, to whatever degree they would like to continue dancing professionally as a supplement to other areas of their education, as a hobby. I mean, we get a lot of different things happening upon that high school graduation. Students have been dancing since they were 2, and they get to the end of their high school training and they think, you know what? I really want to be a doctor. I really want to be a lawyer. I really want to do this, that, and the other. I'll always love dancing, but I think I'm going to leave it behind. Maybe I'll take a class once in a while. I want to go to a school where they have some good classes where I can still participate, or maybe, be in a dance club and still perform, but it's not going to be my major focus. We have students that fall into that camp. We have students that do go on and double major, continue with their strong dancing throughout college, but are also studying something else. We have students that go to college, say, you know what, I really want to be dancing professionally. They don't continue their full college right then and there, but go and dance in a company, and maybe they fill in course by course and get their degree, 7, 8 years out. We have students that have done that. So it really just depends on the student. There's all kinds of pathways. We've seen them all.
One other quick thing, just for clarity for me. If my daughter auditions for the companies, when she auditions for the companies, and in the event that there's not a choice, there's not an option for that right out of high school, is it a bad thing to go and continue to do the auditions? And I know that some companies and second companies are taking dancers a little bit later, at least that's what I've been told recently. Is that a bad path to pursue?
It's not a bad thing. I mean, we have college students here who complete a year or 2 and get a job, and they take the job because dance is a youth-oriented field. So they want to do that now while they're still able.
Right.
We've had students actually dance for a few years and come back and finish their degree, or they finish their degree elsewhere. So again, because dance is so dependent on the body being just young and able, that a lot of students will prioritize that when they can. And, they'll always have the year or 2 of college credits under their belt that can be,
Utilized
used
in
later
the future.
on. So. is there a particular school or schools who tend to really like / accept our ballet students? Sure.
Lots of places.
There's lots of places. There's Butler, Indiana, Utah, Purchase, Juilliard, USC, Oklahoma. That's just off the top of my head. Lots of the competitive college conservatory dance programs love our students. The ballet students that do go on to college.
My computer just ran out of battery. I have not yet
That
heard
might be a
back
sign.
from
I was gonna say.
Aaron Morris. But I'll put that in my follow-up notes about the diploma.
There you go. And if your kids are complaining that they say it's really cold here, it really is. Just, as an aside, I think the wind chill yesterday was 10 degrees. It's chilly.
The day before that, it was 70.
Yeah,
so
it was
it's-
70. Wow.
We have another compliment for the dance department. Just a comment to share. My daughter is telling me that she and her friends think that in the college auditions they have had so far, their UNCSA training has proven very strong in comparison to many of the other dancers who are also in the auditions. Hats off to the UNCSA dance. You are sweet. They're sending in compliments.
I know, this is awesome.
I know. Wow.
It says, to agree with that, my daughter has thoroughly enjoyed her time at UNCSA. As a parent, it is beyond heartwarming to know your child is in their happy place and is able to be immersed in their passion. Thank you, UNCSA. That's nice. That's what we hope. That's what we hope. I know, there's ups and downs, there's casting, there's disappointment. But I do agree with the comment that when a student leaves here and does go out to those auditions, I think that they're very well placed to be extremely competitive for the programs they want to get into. In order to get into the school, they have to be at a certain level, and then the training offered here really prepares them for that next step. Not only in dance, but in their academic studies as well. So.
I have a question. Do you know if the cafeteria is serving your delicious fish today? Today is Friday.
It is Friday. I don't know. Did you get a copy of the menu, Corey?
I know. Is there a pattern there?
I texted Jayla earlier. I said, do you know if they're having fish today? He goes, Mom, really?
I have to say,
That was not text worthy.
I don't know if you remember Bob Waldo, who used to be my executive assistant before Corey. Bob Waldo and I did eat lunch in the cafeteria every day, and he did used to check the menu so he would have known the answer to that question, but
Corey, you got to step it up, man.
they do.
Corey, are you checking?
Oh, Corey's on it.
Folks, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for being here in person and remotely. I'll send out some follow-up notes from the three of these that we've had so far.
And I'll get you the
Drama,
exact
dance.
dates for all the performances for this semester, so that can just go out.
Thank you.
All right, Robert.